Hey everybody, welcome back to My Wings of Refuge. So today let's talk about these woven plastic feed bags. So what do you do with yours when they begin to pile up? Do you simply throw them away? Do you burn them? Do you use them to maybe keep the cold air out of chicken coops or something of that nature? Today I'm going to show you one of my favorite ways to deal with mine. Okay, so I'm going to use my handy dandy mat here with my roller cutter because it will make things go super fast and really easy, and I'm going to use this measuring tool as well. So the first thing we're going to do is take our bag. I like to wipe down the outside of it real good first so it's less dusty, and determine where you want the center of your bag. So first we're going to cut off the top, and I like to cut about 2 inches above the ears of the sheep on this picture because we're going to fold down basically 2 inches, an inch and then another inch, so we'll have a pretty smooth seam line on the inside of our bag. So let's get started with that first. Okay, so I've set this about 2 inches above the top of the ear. I'm just going to cut off the excess. This should be pretty easy to do. Now we're going to work at the bottom and determine where you want your bag to end. Do away with this excess. So now we've cut off basically our picture and we have a tube. It's now opened on both ends. At this stage, I like to take a good soapy washcloth or towel and scrub the inside really well. There's nothing harmful in here, but there are some dust particles, and because this food has a little molasses and stuff in it, I don't want anything to get sticky or dirty that I put in it. So we're going to give it a good cleaning on the inside and then we'll start sewing. Okay, so now that it's all clean, while it's still the right side out, I'm going to sew a fine seam across the very bottom because I like to do what's known as kind of a French seam on the inside, so it's nice smooth edges for our finished product. So right now we're just going to sew a very tiny seam as close to the bottom as we can, all the way straight across. Okay, so we have successfully sewed a tiny seam across the bottom, and now we're going to turn this inside out and we're going to do it again. I like to use some scissors just to go inside and using the rounded tip here just to kind of push out my corners really well so that it's as straight as possible. And then push my seam out really well. There you go, Miss. Okay. Then we're ready to sew again. This time I'm going to leave maybe a 1/2 inch or so seam allowance. Okay, so I wanted to show you a closer look of what we've done here. You can see the seam that I sewed when we had the with the bag right side out. Then we turned it inside out and we sewed it again. I gave this about a 1/2 inch. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I sewed it literally from one end to the other. Okay, so now that that is done, we want to finish our flat bottom bag. So by doing so, we just want to take this each end that we just sewed and create a triangle. If you can see this here, we're creating a triangle. You can make it as big or as small really as you want. I'm looking at probably doing about 3 inches from here to where I'm going to sew. Like as long as this side is the same as the other side, it doesn't matter really how far you go. So we're going to do that. And we'll make a straight seam right across here on each end. Okay, so now we've sewn our bottom, and if you can see here, we did both. We made sure our seam was in one direction, and we just made little triangles and sewed right along each of the bottoms there. Look of what we've done here is we literally took our seam, made sure it's all facing in the same direction, and we made this little corner. We just pulled the sides out enough so we had a corner, and we came down about 3 inches, and I literally sewed from one end to the other. And so did the exact same thing on the other end. Here we sewed, from this end to the other. And so now we're going to take some pinking shears or scissors and just trim about a 1/2 inch seam allowance there. And then our bottom will be complete. So we're just going to take our pinking shears here and give about a 1/2 inch seam allowance and cut this excess right off. This will make our box bottom much easier to be flat. Now, our box bottom is basically complete. We're not going to turn it inside out just yet because now we're going to work on the top. So for the top, we will fold down about 1 inch, and then we're going to fold down 1 inch again. Then we'll set in our straps and give it a quick sew around, and we'll be done. So now we have turned down the top of our bag. I did about 2 inches, so I did 1 inch, and then I turned in 1 inch again, so that on the inside of our bag, when we turn it back right side out, it'll be nice and smooth inside, and you won't have any sharp or rough edges. So now we just need to cut our shoulder straps. So I like these nylon straps because I like to carry my bag over my shoulder, and you can make them out of your scraps from your bag here, but I like these. So if you're going to use the scraps from your bag, you just decide the length that you want, cut it the width times at least 2 and a little bit for your seam allowance. With your right sides together, you would just sew the outside edge and then turn it inside out and then sew them in the same way we will here. But we're going to use these nylon straps. Since this strap is 60 inches long, I'm going to just cut it in half so that each one will be about 30 inches. And then we will, because you're going to have a couple of inches that are going to be sewn into your bag. So let's just cut this in half. That. And you will find your placement wherever you want to place them. Make sure it's not crooked. And you're just going to stick it under like so. And then we're going to sew around the edges. I'm going to pin these in place. Let's see. So just find where you want to put these, and then pin them in place. Like so. Make sure it's not crooked. And then you'll want to do the other one in the same exact place on the other side. So we're going to get those pinned in and we'll come back. Okay, so now we have both straps They are pinned in, and so I just stuck them literally under the edge here. Made sure I go all the way to the top. And so now we're going to sew around this bottom edge all the way around. That will help hold these in place. Then we will have one more step, then we're almost done. So here you see we've turned it in the upright position and we sewed across this top line now. So now we're ready to turn it right side out. So now we've got all the sewing complete, and you'll see here how we went around the top edges and sewed these straps on. Now all we have to do is turn this really crispy bag side out, or right side out. And here we have it. So this is our finished product. These make great gifts. Anytime someone buys a lamb from us, they will get a bag. Anything we want to put in there, whether it is some sheep feed so they can have that to transition them. I've also given these away as gifts for like Christmas. Last year I made bags for everyone, and I put homemade sourdough bread in each one. And so you can use these for lots of different things. Going to someone's house, want to take some fresh eggs to them, take it in a gift bag and give them a bag. You can tie a pretty little red bow on it. You can also line these to make them even nicer. You can add all sorts of decorations and lots of other things to these, but today this is our basic feed bag. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Hey, if I can do this, I know you can. So enjoy your week, have a great week, and I'll see you again on my Wings of Refuge next time. Have a great day.